it over to you. Hello, everyone. Welcome in. We'll give everyone a couple minutes to get signed on here. I hope everyone's having a wonderful day so far. And thank you so much for joining us again. We're excited to have you all here for another super exciting K-12 virtual field trip. Today, in partnership with Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants, we'll be getting to join the Around the Americas expedition team live from the Arctic as they sail around the big island of North and South America. We're so excited to have you all here with us for the next hour. So before we get started, we have a couple friendly reminders for you about today's session, that this session is not required. So if you do have a regular class at this time, please ensure that you are attending your regularly scheduled classes. And this session will be recorded and available for you to view later on the K-12 Virtual Field Trip website, and we'll link that in the chat here shortly. And just another reminder, this session is set up as a webinar, which means you will not have access to your regular chat, video, or microphone functions, but we will have the Q&A section open for you throughout today's session, so please ensure that you put all of your awesome questions in the Q&A chat box throughout today's virtual field trip so that we can get to as many of your questions as possible. Please make sure not to spam the chat today either, guys. But without further ado, I'm so excited to introduce Joe and the Around the Americas team, and we'll pass it over to you, Joe, to take it away.
All right. Thanks so much, Sarah. And hey, everyone, great to see you again. Great to have you with us for another live virtual field trip. Today's going to be a really special one. As Sarah mentioned already, we are hanging out with the Around the Americas expedition. They have the tagline, One Island, One Ocean. We're going to learn all about that in just a little moment. We're going to use a map to show you what we mean by one island, one ocean in just a moment. We've been following their expedition for a little while now on board the 48-foot sailboat One Ocean as they are making their way through a circumnavigation of North and South America. We've caught up with them off the coast of British Columbia. We caught up with them off the coast of Alaska, where they dropped an ocean buoy, a little mini micro buoy in live for us. And today we're going to catch up with the team because they have been sailing their way through the Arctic and the Northwest Passage, which is pretty amazing. So I think that's a good enough introduction for now because we're going to meet the team. We're going to see the ship. We're going to get a chance to ask lots of questions. So let's bring in our team right now. How are we doing today, everybody?
Hi, Joe.
Great to see you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Jennifer Dalton, and I'm the project director for this expedition.
I'm Tess Shornack. I'm Education Outreach and Social Media Manager for the expedition.
And I'm Michael Beamer, the onboard engineer and technology helper.
I guess that leaves me. I'm Mark Schrader, did this 15 years ago, so I'm a co-captain of this project.
So I just want to tell you guys, so thank you very much, Joe. That was a great introduction. And we have some exciting news. We just finished going through the Arctic Circle, and that was an amazing time. And Tess will be talking a bit more about all of that and going through the Northwest Passage. But it's true, we are sailing 27,000 miles around North and South America. And what we do is, Joe, if you want to put our tracker up, we could show them. But what we're doing is we're sailing around looking at North and South America as one big island and looking at the ocean surrounding it. And as we go, we're collecting ocean data to look at the state of the ocean and how healthy it is. And then we're sharing it with all of you, and we're doing it through free education, online education, and we're going to schools, and we'll talk more about that. But everything we're doing is free, and we also are connecting with communities as we go. So that's what we're doing. And I guess I'll start with a little bit of the research we're doing. We are collecting stuff for the Applied Physics Lab, and this here behind me is a pretty cool little gadget, but this attaches to the top of our mast, and that is telling us things like ocean current, salinity of the ocean, wave height, all kinds of things. If you think of it like going to a doctor's office and they want to check your vitals, and that's when they look in your ears and your mouth and just to see how healthy you are. That's this kind of information is doing for the ocean. And so scientists can look at that and look at how healthy is the ocean to support beautiful kelp and wildlife that lives in this beautiful body of water. So we're collecting all of that as we go. We're also working with BC Whales North Coast Cetacean Society. We are looking at whale identification. And Joe, I think you have some pictures. We have beautiful pictures. We actually just saw whales yesterday. Fantastic. We've seen them the last couple of days. They've been following the boat, but Joe has some pictures. One of them is a beautiful humpback whale fluke. And that fluke shows us, when we look at that, we can identify that whale by just the little ridges on that tail. And then I believe you also have the sound, Joe, if you're able to play it. I don't know if the kids can hear that or not, but is that available to you, Joe?
We'll have to pull them up in just a little moment. I have the full PowerPoint pulled up for the presentation. I don't have the whale ones queued up, but we'll
No,
queue
it's
that
okay.
up for right after the presentation.
Right.
Okay, no problem. So anyway, so we're working with BC Whales and doing all of that presentation. And then we are,
Yeah.
Grace Dalton. She is one of our crew member here, but she's actually not on board right now. She had to go back to analyze some of the data we've been collecting, but she's our lead scientist and she's been heading all of this research and working with all of our partners. And then we also are working with University of Victoria, UCLA, and Woods Hole Oceanic Institute to do this beautiful pole-to-pole kelp study.
Yeah, so we have some of the tools here that we use to collect the whale imagery, and we also have our drones for the kelp imagery too.
So as the onboard engineer, I started this project helping at Skagit Valley College get the boat ready to go. That was a big thing. Engines, electrical, and all that stuff. And I still help work on the boat, fix things that break, plumber, electrician, and all that. But I really like the technology. And so in order to support and do the research, there's a whole lot of tools that we use. We have these tools here. Yeah, we have, Tess was showing you the big camera. All of the crew, because you're not always on watch or on deck, will use the big camera to get those whale flukes and stuff so we can identify whales. And then we have it's called a quadrat. So the kelp, we're doing all this kelp research, which is mostly underwater. So we have this apparatus that we drop down with underwater cameras, and we take lots of still imagery and video of what's going on under the water. So the scientists can actually look at the kelp and find out if it's got a disease or how much kelp there is and all that, the fun stuff, how healthy it is. We also have an underwater submarine, little underwater ROV, and we could send that down and drive around as well.
Great.
And then we have other tools, of course. We have a couple of drones on board. This one we use for flying around the boat and taking pictures. And when Harry and Captain Mark talk about ice, we can send these up to find out where the ice is and where we want to go, which is, not there.
And why are these the floats and
Yeah, floats are important because sometimes the battery goes dead and it lands in the ocean and we try not to lose it. That might have happened once. And then we have this one, which is a more sophisticated drone that does a whole bunch of non-visible light spectrums. And so we fly a grid over the kelp forest, and the floating canopies, then they can analyze it with this particular drone. And so when Grace was on board, she programmed this, and we did all of that, and we'll be doing that again all the way up the West Coast.
I think Joe has some pictures too of this, but this is just like a gamer control, everybody. So
Yes.
all of you could probably end up flying one of these drones.
We need people to learn this and go out and study and fly drones and take pictures and help gather. So this is only a part of the process, is gathering the data that we're doing. And then there's a lot of stuff that happens behind the scenes for sure.
Yeah, I think that we're ready for the presentation, Joe. Do we think so?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to be doing our buoy drop, and that will be shortly after we share a little bit more about the project. This is the boat.
Yeah,
Where we're at right now.
this is our boat. This is the beautiful One Ocean, and that's our gorgeous spinnaker that we had made, and showing our gorgeous one island that we all share together. That's North and South America. And
we thought it important to have that so we would know where we were at any one given time.
Yeah.
and there's the crew. That's all of us on One Ocean. And you get to see what it looks like. And it's a small space, and it's a laboratory. It's a floating classroom. It's everything to us.
Bedroom, kitchen, galley, everything.
Yeah.
It's everything for us.
Next one. And this is Grace. So this is part of the kelp study. So right there, what she has there is the bull kelp, and that's really important. Beautiful blades that look like hair coming down, and she's holding the stem, the long tube-like structure is the stem of the bull kelp there. And there, right there is a picture that compares the bull kelp and the giant kelp. And the giant kelp has more bulbous. There's the giant kelp. It's a perfect picture of that. It's beautiful.
And those are the two types of kelp that we're studying around North and South America because they're floating kelp canopies. So the way that we're gathering data, it works specifically for this floating kelp forest. And we have over 40 kelp sites around North and South America that we've already collected a lot of data at along the West Coast, and we'll start that back up again once we get farther south, probably closer to Falkland Islands.
Is that an indication of ocean health? Is that why we're studying?
Yeah, so the kelp beds are super important to see how healthy they are. What this does for the scientists is to let them know what's happening in the ocean. And you know, the kelp forest is like the old growth trees, underwater trees of our ocean, and they actually collect carbon to grow. And this is really important for all creatures, all from tiny to big. They all use those beautiful kelp forests. And so it's very important for scientists to know how our kelp forests are doing as we go around North and South America. And here we've got a little underwater video. So what Mike was talking about, we dropped this quadrat in the water with cameras on it. And we have this beautiful, beautiful forest of bull kelp. And if you watch for a little bit, we see all kinds of things in there. But anybody, can you see a little white face in there? There's a seal right there watching our camera and actually gets close enough to the camera, comes swimming right up.
Comes up. Check
But
this out.
truly magical. It's just a beautiful, beautiful place underneath that ocean. And none of this has been doctored up or anything. That's all the colors underneath the ocean there. And that was taken off the coast of British Columbia. Thank you, Joe. It's gorgeous.
So I know we're going to talk education in just a moment, but before we do, I grabbed a couple of those whale pictures. I want to share the flukes with the students so that they can get a feel for it. So I'm going to switch my share to some whale flukes here so we can take a look at some of those. Give me 2 seconds. Here come the whales. There we go.
Yeah, that's a humpback whale. And how they look at that is they look at the ridges on the top end of the fluke. That whole beautiful tail is called a fluke, and then there's ridges on top, and they can identify now and number these whales, and they know they have a big mass data collection, and they can keep track of these whales. And also the white is another big aspect of how they can identify.
It's the fingerprint.
It's the fingerprint. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the
You all have fingerprints. We have fingerprints. That's their fingerprint.
Yeah.
They're all unique.
Yeah.
They're all unique, and it's really awesome because, for example, yesterday we actually saw some bottlenose whales.
Northern bottlenose whale.
Northern bottlenose whales. So we shoot up here, we grab the camera, we take some imagery, we get our location, where we are, what the weather conditions are looking like, and we're able to send back all of this data to Grace Dalton, who's actually studying right now, but she's also still working with us, and she analyzes the data and lets us know more about the whales. So it's really awesome to be able to look and see the whales and see these kelp sites and all of that, and then have a scientist let us know what we're looking at and what this imagery really means. So that's been really fun.
I don't know, Joe, if you're able to put on that sound. I gave you I don't know if you're able to turn on this sound. Oh, cool.
I'm going to give it a try. Hopefully the microphone won't try and cancel it out. So I'm going to turn it really loud, and let's see if we can hear the sound.
Right.
Well, I don't know if you guys can hear that, but
if you could hear some of that, that's a humpback whale talking and singing. And actually, humpback whales share this beautiful song, and I feel like I'll get the story wrong, but basically they take a lyric at a time and they learn it, and then they pass it on to their other whales, and they all start singing the same song, all within the same kind of region. So it's a beautiful thing. And hydrophones are something we drop in the water, and we can pick up these recordings, and we again share this with BC Whales because they're trying to collect as much data and as possible. So
Yeah.
All right, excellent. I'll bring the other presentation back up, and I think the next slides might go into a little bit of education.
oh, there's the cool one.
That's awesome, John.
That's the kelp one we just had. There we go.
Yeah, so I mean, we obviously are collecting a lot of data here on board, but one thing that's really exciting about this project is how widely we're able to share this data with everyone. We're on all social media platforms, One Island, One Ocean, and we share all the imagery, all the data that we're collecting. We do voiceovers. We have voiceovers with our lead scientist, Grace Dalton, that helps depict what we're really looking at in this imagery. For example, how you just saw the kelp there. And we also document our journey as well. So we educate about sailing, what it's like to be out here for 14 months, because that is not a short time for us five to be here on this boat together. So it's really fun. There's a lot of really fun, exciting aspects to it. But yeah, this is us pointing at a picture of the Arctic Circle, which we actually just left. We spent 52 days in the Arctic Circle, which was a really fun, exciting time for us and a huge portion of this expedition. But yeah, we did a presentation at the Vancouver Aquarium, which was an amazing time. And we had little seals that were dancing around us right in that exhibit down there. And we also, the education has really started from the get-go at the Marine Technology Center. Mike Beamer.
That's Mike Beamer right there. That's from his.
It's right there where, yeah, we train students to work on boats. And so as part of that, that's why we got with this team to work on this boat, to understand the engines, the machinery, electrical. Lots of students were involved and volunteers, and to make this whole project happen. And so it was definitely a really good experience. There's some students when we were down in the water.
Yeah, those students are from Marine Tech Center in Anacortes. They all helped work on the boat.
They made the magic happen. Couldn't have done it without a boat. And this is me. I'm sitting in front. This is our education tent. This is set up in Nome, Alaska. We set it up at as many ports as possible. It has details about the science, about the data that we're collecting. So it's really fun. Anybody can come in, take a peek around, look at what we're doing. So that's been fun. And yeah, more presentations. We go to schools, as well as being live here and able to do these live classrooms, which is amazing.
These are our favorite.
These are our favorite.
These are our favorite.
Absolutely. No, it's so much fun. And we're able to also go in person to classrooms as well. But just connecting with students and showing you guys what we're doing and what you can do is really fun. We love it. And also, if you guys have any teachers that want to connect with us and want us to go meet with you guys in person, we can do that. Just go to oneislandoneocean.com, shoot us a message, and hopefully you lie along our route so we can stop and connect with you. Otherwise, we're going to be doing a lot more live classrooms here with Exploring by the Sea. So
we want you to be interested in the ocean. The ocean keeps us all healthy, keeps the planet healthy. We want the next ocean steward to come out of this group.
Absolutely.
All right. I know that we love the live events here at Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants, and we can't wait to keep following you over the next 14 months. I think now we're going to shift gears, though, and talk a little bit about life on board the ship. I have some really cool pictures you shared with me of life on board.
Okay.
Right.
Oh yeah, well, I'm sure you probably all have some questions about how do we eat and all that kind of stuff. Well, this is just after a stocking up in Juneau, Alaska. We were stocking and trying to find storage all on board. So all behind us in here, every cupboard, every space on this boat has something in it.
There's no grocery stores out here.
Yeah. Then of course we're also doing, research and all that kind of stuff and educating, but we're also sailing, and sometimes the conditions can get pretty rough. Actually, this is a bit of a snowstorm up in the Arctic, and we're out there sailing in it.
we all need to know how to do all these things to keep our home going.
That's me doing some yoga. Sometimes I get out to the back deck. Tess and I both do. We really like doing yoga. We just get our little personal time out back, and we do something for our own personal health and mental health. It keeps us healthy and happy. And there's a nice shot of Tess all cozy and
work.
Yeah,
Everything goes on 24 hours a day. I mean, if we're sleeping in shifts,
Yep.
navigating in shifts, doing the work in shifts. That's what it looks like.
So someone's always awake, keeping us going. And and look at that's pancakes.
Pancakes.
Captain Mark made us beautiful pancakes.
Food is important.
We take turns.
And obviously we all are doing our own work and writing. Joe, you can flip through these. That's Mike
Pretty quick,
working
yeah.
hard. And we all have our own little personal spaces to do some of our work in. And I have a little pretend fireplace going on while we're up in the Arctic. And there's Tess we take turns doing dinner out here. And that's Tess and her wonderful casserole. It was fantastic.
Yeah, we all cook a different night.
And to keep happy and to pass by sometimes we play cards. And we read a lot too.
We read a lot. We go swimming.
And these two crazies went swimming in the Arctic, you guys. Can you believe that? Very cold water, and they swam in the Arctic.
Well, the message there is that along 15 years ago, that water was freezing. It was right around 36 degrees. Most of the water in the Arctic we came through this time was in the 46 to 48 degree range.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And that's just a little picture of all our volunteers back at home who were here to help get this project up and running and get this boat going. And so that is a picture of our volunteers. And thank you to volunteers because they were a big help.
Yeah, and I think we actually have a volunteer right now who's holding the camera.
Yeah.
Shout out to Bob. He was a huge help in getting this project set up. But I think from there, we just went through the Northwest Passage, so there should be some photos of that we can go through.
Yeah, we have a nice map here to show.
Yeah.
Yep.
With our tractor on it. So that's what 6,000 miles looks like.
That's the top track of the Northwest Passage that we just went through. Very exciting, but a lot of hard sailing and very interesting to see all the climate change happening very rapidly up on the north end. The ice is melting up in big chunks.
The reason to talk about the ice, lots of experience there.
Yeah, there we go. It's just some pictures of us up in the Northwest Passage. Really beautiful landscape. And obviously some massive icebergs as we came down the East Coast side here. And those are some freshwater icebergs from glaciers. That there is some whale. We were lucky enough to meet up with some Inuit people who showed us their traditional way of life, and that is beluga. The next picture shows the two gentlemen. They hunt and they eat beluga because it's very important for them because they have very long winters up there. It's dark most of the time. And the beluga offers a lot of omega-3 for them, a lot of fat, a lot of calories to get through their very long, cold winter months. But these people are very incredible with the environment and love. I don't know if you can play that. That actually is an image of another ice sheet out there. We dealt with a lot of ice on this trip. We were stuck for many weeks because there was a big blockage in the passage. So we had to take some risks and we sailed through a lot of ice as we went. But isn't that beautiful? The color was just incredible to us. And just some personal pictures. We try to get out and hike when we could. And Mark has written a really neat blog on the magnetic north because, well, Mark, do you want to talk about that real quick?
Well, early navigation was dependent on just sun sites and a few other things, but they tried to establish 300 years ago where the magnetic North Pole was. So there's evidence all through the Arctic of rock formations that someone either placed or marked, trying to find magnetic north as these explorers came through. And we actually found one of these spots in a big open area on top of a hill, marks that showed where magnetic north was, they thought. And this was one of those places.
Well, and so Joe, I'm thinking that we should maybe cut to Harry because we have a very special guest here, right, Tess?
Yeah, so we have Harry Stern with us. So as we were navigating through the ice, Harry was a key component of being able to get through. He sent us satellite imagery. He is a scientist and researcher at the University of Washington's Applied Physics Lab's Polar Science Center, and he just played a huge role helping us navigate through the ice, which is not an easy thing to do, helping us show us satellite imagery, and also he gave us a lot of background because it's littered with history up there. It's so interesting, the explorers, and we were sailing right over so many amazing spots.
Harry's one of those explorers. He came with us 15 years ago through part of this.
Yeah, he did. So it was really fun to have him send in the history of the places that we were sailing right over. That just made the journey so much more interesting for us. So we would like to introduce Harry Stern. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. Joe, if you want to put up the one slide that I prepared, I was going to talk first a little bit about geography and the two kinds of ice that you find floating in the ocean. So on this map, you could maybe zoom in a little bit on the map if you can. So just to get oriented, the North Pole is right above the word ice, the red word ice. Yeah, right where the arrow is. That's the North Pole. And right below that is Greenland. You can see where I've labeled glacial ice of Greenland. And then the Northwest Passage is over on the left, which goes north of Alaska and north of Canada. And that's the route that One Ocean took. So I have labeled near the North Pole, I have labeled sea ice. So sea ice is frozen seawater. It's when the ocean freezes, it forms sea ice, which floats on top of the ocean. And what you're seeing now is the extent of the sea ice as of 2 days ago, September 14th. And as you can see, there's sea ice all around the North Pole and over most of the Arctic Ocean. Now, that sea ice in this picture is at about its minimum for the year. In the wintertime, the extent of the sea ice expands much farther out, and there's ice all the way up to the coast of Alaska and up to the coast of Russia at the top of the picture. So the sea ice goes through this annual cycle of growing in the winter and melting back in the summer. And this shows the extent of the sea ice in the summer. And over by where the words Northwest Passage are, you can see that there's a little bit of sea ice that extended almost to land. And that's where there was a little bit of difficulty for One Ocean to get through the sea ice that was floating in the ocean and sort of blocking their progress. But they waited, and the ice receded just enough that they could get by. Now, recently they encountered another kind of ice that floats in the ocean, and that's glacial ice or icebergs. So you can see the continent, you can see the island of Greenland there. Greenland is covered with a huge ice cap. Now, the ice in Greenland comes from compressed snowfall. So Greenland underneath is land that's covered with ice. That ice is thousands of feet thick, and it's formed over thousands and thousands of years from snowfall compressing and building up thicker and thicker. So that ice is freshwater ice. It comes from snow. And that ice actually flows outward like a river. It flows very slowly from the middle of Greenland out toward the margins. And when that ice reaches the ocean and breaks off, that huge chunk of ice that breaks off is called an iceberg. And so icebergs can be hundreds and hundreds of feet thick, and they float in the ocean. And the blue line that I've shown there through Baffin Bay is the path that icebergs take when they break off in northwest Greenland, and then they float down through Baffin Bay. And that's exactly the route that One Ocean took. And so they saw plenty of icebergs on their recent trip down from there. So I study sea ice mostly in the Arctic, and I just want to say a few words more about sea ice, which is that over the last 30 or so years, it's been shrinking in extent. Because of human-caused global warming, the amount of sea ice is diminishing. Now, I previously mentioned that there is an annual cycle of growth in the winter and shrinkage in the summer. And what you could notice if you only looked at the summers for the last 30 years is that the extent of the sea ice is shrinking a lot. So over north of Alaska, you can see in this picture, you see a huge area of open water north of Alaska. Yeah, right there where the cursor is. About 30 or more years ago, that would not have been open water at this time of the year. The sea ice used to extend almost to the coast of Alaska, even in the summertime, and almost up to the coast of Russia, even in the summertime. But now in the summer, the ice is melting back more and more. And so there's longer periods of time with the ice melts back earlier in the spring than it used to, and it forms later in the fall than it used to. So what does that mean for, well, polar bears? It's not so good for polar bears because polar bears depend on sea ice as a platform to use for hunting. They hunt seals on the sea ice. So if the sea ice is present for less time during the year, then they have a shorter time during which they can hunt. So that's not so good for polar bears. Maybe it's good for shipping. It allows it will potentially allow more commerce and tourism and shipping through the Arctic, but that's may come with some ecological perils, and also it's not so certain. There are certain years when there's heavy ice and certain years when the ice retreats more and more. So when I look at the record of ships transiting the Northwest Passage, I see that in 2018, just 7 years ago, only 3 ships were able to go through the Northwest Passage because it was a very heavy ice year. So, but in the last 4 years, an average of like 30 to 40 ships per year have gone through the Northwest Passage. So even in modern times, there can be heavy ice years. So it's not really a reliable shipping route yet. There still can be hazards from year to year. And so now One Ocean is well below the Arctic Circle and probably still seeing some icebergs because those icebergs continue to drift all the way down into the North Atlantic. But no more sea
Yeah,
ice.
I think now is the first time in 2 days that we haven't seen any icebergs, but it was really interesting because we went from seeing sea ice and navigating sea ice, and then when we went through Davis Strait, which is farther on the east side, then that's when we started seeing the icebergs, which we clarified with Harry because we saw that they were much bigger than the ice that we had seen before. So that was really interesting. But yeah, now we're navigating through icebergs, which present a whole another mode of navigational challenges as well. So yeah, we haven't seen them a couple days, but now they're icebergs. Show how much time we have.
Yeah, I think I'm probably done. I wish I could go into the history more, but that'll be for another time, I guess. Thanks.
Yes, definitely. We'll love to hear that.
We're ready to do our buoy drop.
Alrighty.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Okay,
Here we go,
have
heading on deck. Can you tell us a bit about the buoy before we deploy it? It looks really cool.
Okay, it's a microSWIFT buoy. Can record wave heights. So people are interested in what's flat calm right now, and current. Harry was talking about where the icebergs go, where the ice flow goes. They follow the current. So this will be measuring what the current is doing right here. It'll be measuring wave height. It'll just sit here for 6 weeks about and measure up and down, flow with the current, measure temperature, but it's also recording ambient noise. It'll record what's going on there as it floats by. So if the whales come by and start talking and singing, it's going to pick it up. So,
and we're kind of excited because we have a huge storm coming in for the next couple of days, almost like hurricane strength. So this is going to have some pretty interesting data. But we also want to dedicate this to Lucille Umberger in Burlington Edison School District. Go Wolves, because they have a new middle school there. And we just wanted to say a big shout out to them.
Yeah.
Everybody can track this at any time through our APL website. You can find it on our website, and it clicks in. Look for Around the Americas buoy number 168. It's all set up there for you.
Get sailors.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Sailors for the Sea sponsored this for these buoys. So we can do this and have 10 of 12 of them on board. We put them in different places. Pretty fun. Here we go.
Here
You
we
ready?
go. Start tracking. Bye.
Off it goes. And this is our second
See ya.
buoy that we are deploying around North and South America.
Out in the Davis Strait.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it, Joe.
Can
And
we,
the Davis
before you head
Strait.
in, can we get a little look at the ship from outside before we head in for
Oh,
questions?
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go. So safety first. We have our life jackets and we're all staying clipped in.
Here we go.
Yeah, so this is
Ocean. Sails are furled right now because we wanted to have it quiet for this. But we're headed, we actually can see land. Look at this. We haven't seen land for quite a while. So we have 2 masts, sails, working deck, lots of ropes and strings,
Come back here.
and back here, the yoga platform.
This is where we do yoga.
It's also where the safety equipment is, life raft.
Yep.
and our buoy.
We have all our safety equipment back here. We've got our dinghy up here, and we have another sail. It's called a mizzen back here as well. But this is our back deck.
I'll just
There you
do a little walk around. We have our dinghy up back here. But yeah, if anybody has any questions about anything that we've talked about so far, we are more than happy to answer it as I kind of make our way back inside.
All right. Well, that was awesome. It was really great to see inside, see some of the cool tech you're using, see some pictures and videos to show life on board. I love those whale sounds. I might have to set that as a track for sleeping or something. Very cool. We are going to have lots of questions now. I can see tons of questions in the Q&A, so I'm going to start sharing some of those questions. And then at some stage, I'm going to start turning microphones on so some students can ask their questions. We can hear their voices. But let's get started with some questions. And you know what? I think this is a great one from Safira to start because we're connecting with you in the ocean. So how in the world are you getting internet where you are right now?
That's a great question.
Great question. Mike, do you want to?
Yeah, so we have a Starlink antenna out there, which provides our internet for everything we need to do for lessons and correspondence and setting up details. And so it works, I've been told, around the world, and it worked all the way up through the Northwest Passage, and I've been quite reliable. So,
all right. When I shared the map before, we didn't get a chance to see just how big this journey is. So I want to share the map one more time. I really want students to see what's happening here. So we have the beginning here down in Washington. We can see where we met you off the coast of British Columbia for our very first event. Then here off the coast of Alaska in this area where we dropped that first buoy, like we saw the deployment today, through the Northwest Passage. And I'm going to back up here so students can see. You call it one ocean or one island, one ocean, and North and South America around the Americas is one giant island. So by the time the 14 months ends, you will have sailed all the way around North and South America. It is truly an epic journey.
Truly epic. Joe, I think we have officially sailed approximately 7,000 miles out of that 27,000 miles.
Wow. Unbelievable. So
and
students,
Mark Schrader here, he has done this journey before in 2009 and 10. They did this expedition, and we're out here doing it again because of him. He's just a true inspiration and always, challenging everybody to look at climate change and what we can do for the ocean.
Well, the message is when you look at that globe and look at the water and look at the land, everything that's in that ocean that's in the blue affects the green. And everything that's in the green affects the blue. It's all connected. It's not a number of different oceans. We're all connected. So it's important that we take care of each other. It's important that what we do in the green doesn't ruin the blue, and vice versa. And
Absolutely.
that's the basic message.
So if you want to play with this map, oneislandoneocean.com, you can see there's a string of pictures and videos from along the journey as well. You can check out. So yeah, check out this map. It's going to be updated as the ship continues to move, and we can see the position right here. Let's get in tighter.
We're heading inland here because of this big storm that's headed our way. So we're actually kind of going off our route a bit to get out of the storm.
We're going to hide in find a little harbor and spend a day there as the storm rolls over us.
All right, well, let's get into some more questions. Summer wants to know, can you tell us a little bit about the sailboat you're on?
It's 48 feet, weighs 40,000 pounds. It's self-contained. This has to meet all our needs. We have a water maker on board so we can make drinking water out of salt water. We have food storage, we can cook, we can sleep, and it sails well. So as this is 27,000-mile journey, we sail not like a car on a freeway. We're sailing at about 6 or 7 or 8 miles an hour. So that's why the trip takes 14 months. Everything for 14 months has to be here. Safety, if something happens, we have to have a plan B. So there are life rafts and survival suits and all of that. Everybody's trained to know how to do them, how to use them. But it's our comfort. It's our living space. So inside, I don't know what the square footage is inside, but I guess when you go home to your homes, look at your kitchen and maybe your living room. That's how much size we have.
I actually think on one of our first ones, Joe, with you, we went through the sailboat. So you might want to look back at some of Joe's exploring by the seat of your pants. And I think that's in there at some point. You can see the inside.
This is our living room, den, and study right here.
All right. Well, Crystal is wondering, you just talked about getting inshore for a storm. Have you encountered many storms along the journey?
We've encountered some. We've not many, but wind events. If you're out on the ocean, you can't duck and cover. You can't go someplace. You have to just prepare for it. So smaller sails, bigger waves, might not be very comfortable on board for 10, 12, 24 hours, something like that. And as long as you have room and not running into something, just have to deal with it. So we've had, I'd say, probably 3 pretty big wind events, but different kinds of things for shorter periods of time. Right now, you can see it's very calm here. The winds are predicted, however, in 24 hours time to be 40 to 50 to 60 knots, 60 miles an hour. So since we're close to saying something we can duck behind, that's what we're going to do.
All right. Harry, I think I've got a question here for you. Bethany is wondering if we looked at, because you just showed the map we saw today was recent, within the last couple of days. They're wondering what would that map maybe have looked like in 2010, say, at the same time of the year?
There would have been a little bit more ice in the summertime in 2010, but really it was, I would say in about the 1990s is when we started to see the big transition from more ice to less ice. Before the 1990s, the summer sea ice really went all the way up to the coast of Alaska and up to the coast of Russia. And since then, the summer sea ice has been receding more and more. And so now as you could see in the picture that I showed, there's these huge bites taken out of the ice, and you can go hundreds of miles north of Alaska in just open water now. So it's really, really shrinking in the last 30 years, I'd say.
All right. And then Amelia's wondering a little more specifically about icebergs and ice caps. Is there a difference between icebergs and ice caps?
Well, an iceberg is a chunk of ice that's floating in the water. So yeah, so an ice cap is like a small ice sheet. So the Greenland ice sheet is a massive ice sheet that's thousands of feet thick. An ice cap would be a little bit smaller, like you'd find an ice cap on Ellesmere Island, which is just to the west of Greenland. But it's the same thing. It's compressed snowfall that has formed over thousands and thousands of years. So an ice cap and an ice sheet are kind of the same things. And then when they flow into the ocean and break off, then that chunk of ice that's floating in the ocean is called an iceberg.
All right. So Lydia says, don't get me wrong. It's really cool being out on the water, but you must miss something from dry land. Is there something you guys are missing right now from dry land?
Yes.
Well, I missed trees terribly. We come from Washington State, and in the Arctic, there are no trees. It's really crazy. I'm hoping maybe later today to see one.
Yeah, I'm missing trees for sure, but I'm also missing my animals and, just the smell of home. I miss the land a bit. Yes.
Yeah, I would say kind of the same thing. I miss my family and friends, but we stay in contact thanks to Starlink, which is nice. But other than that, definitely trees as well. It's been weird not having any out in the Arctic.
But someone who lives in the Arctic, I said that very same thing a while ago. I said, I really miss the trees. And they said, well, we have trees. They just grow horizontally because they're back down. And they do. There are trees and they grow like that. You have to look. So you think you're walking on maybe grassy something. You're walking on a tree that has grown horizontally across the top.
Yeah.
Not the same.
Good question. Thank you.
Great question.
All right. Maybe I'll grab one more from the chat, and then maybe we'll start turning on some microphones so we can get some questions there. So we saw the humpback whales. So Danielle's wondering about any other whale species you've seen along the way.
Oh yeah, we've seen orcas. We've seen quite a bit of orcas. The orcas gave us a great display in British Columbia. Humpback whales, we were very fortunate in the Arctic. We saw bowhead whales.
Yep.
They come very shallow and they feed in the shallows. And we actually saw 3 or 4, I believe. And then recently, like I said, we've seen the northern bottlenose whale here. The last couple of days they've been following our boat, quite a few of them. They behave a little like dolphins, but they're much larger, but they're scooting along and playing with our wake behind us. So that's been
Beluga. Yeah.
We saw belugas at the edge of the
Yes.
ice sheets.
Oh, that was amazing. We saw beluga as well.
Because they're all
And we
white.
saw bowhead whales as well.
Didn't
And
they
Yeah, she said.
Oh, you did? Okay, yeah. So we saw bowhead whales. The bottlenose were really fun though because they
Yeah.
did act like
Playful.
dolphins, and
Yeah.
they were just swimming like bunches of them right behind us, and it was incredible to see that.
I think we've also seen maybe a fin or a sperm whale out there, but yeah, we've seen quite a few, and I think we'll start seeing a lot more now too. So
All right. Well, we're going to hear some voices now. If your hand is up in the chat and your question's already been answered, can you put your hand down so we don't pick you by mistake again for the same question? And then I know some of the names are your parents' names in the chat. So if you do want to introduce yourself before your question, you're more than welcome. But the first name I have up here is Manal Naveed. If you want to go ahead and unmute your microphone, I've turned it on for you. Manal Naveed, if you're there. Oh, there we go.
Hello?
Hi, we got ya. We can hear ya.
Hello.
hello, do you have a question for us?
Yeah, so is it allowed for kids to come?
Oh, well, you know what? Honestly, unfortunately not. It's a pretty small accommodation and we're all set with our crew at the moment, but we love kids coming down to meet us in every port and we would love to have you come look at the boat for sure. And, hopefully it takes a lot of training and preparation to be out here on a journey like this. So it took us some years to get prepared for this, but definitely worth it. And I would say, if you want to do something like this, stick to it because it's been more than amazing. Just incredible.
And you don't have to be born a sailor.
Yeah.
I was born and raised in Nebraska, the furthest point in the US from any ocean. And it wasn't until I was 16 that I started really getting interested in the ocean. So there you go. Anything can happen.
Thank
All
you.
right. Caleb Allen, your microphone is active. If you want to unmute, we're ready for you.
I live in Washington, and my question is, what happens if you run out of food or get close to running out?
Oh boy, that's a scary prospect because I love food. You know what? We've provisioned.
We do run out of food, like salad and fresh stuff.
Yeah.
We have a lot of shelf stable stuff.
That's
And
true.
so we planned very carefully.
Yeah, we planned because going through the Northwest Passage, we knew there's going to be a couple months there we may not get good provisions. So we planned really well and brought a lot of dried fruit and vegetables with us. That's been the hardest thing, is not getting those very fresh fruit and vegetables. But we planned really well. Everybody has planned very well. Everybody takes turns making meals. So fortunately, knock on wood, we have not run out of food yet. And hope we don't ever have to.
Great question.
Thank you.
Hands.
All right, Emma Riley, your microphone should be ready to go if you want to go ahead and unmute. Okay, I see you unmuted, but we're not hearing ya. Okay. We got you now. Okay.
Okay, so my question is, so if you run out of food, do and you're not close to land, what would you do in that situation?
Ooh, I think fish. What do you guys think?
Yeah, we'd fish.
We'd probably.
Yeah, we'd fish, sure. Of course, we would fish and ration whatever we had.
Yeah.
In the old days, you might end up eating your shoes because they were leather.
We have some pretty good backup emergency stuff though, so
Yeah.
we'll be okay.
Yeah.
We have a bag of emergency. We could go on the life raft and we could probably live on that for a month.
Yeah.
So hopefully
we won't run out of food. Thank you, Emma.
All right, Kari Rowe, I am going to turn your mic on if you want to go ahead and unmute for us.
My question is, did you guys actually see a whale, and what do you use, and how do they use their trackers to find information about things?
Oh,
That's a good question.
Well, yes, we have seen a lot of whales so far. And then the tracking really truly is, they use BC Whales, who we work with, they actually use picture identification, and most whale sites and researchers use picture identification. So they actually are using a lot of people who are just out regularly boating and ask them to send pictures in so researchers can track these whales and see where they're going. We try to do no harm to any of the animals, so they use picture identification for most of the tracking.
All right. Jameer Baker, your microphone should be ready if you want to unmute. You want to try again? I thought I heard you at the start. Okay, looks like maybe the microphone isn't cooperating. So let's try Isaac Acme. If you want to go ahead, I'll turn on your mic.
Can you hear me?
We gotcha.
Okay, so I have the question about, like, you know how you were talking about they were talking about, like, the icebergs. So, like, are those the icebergs, like, did you go up to the icebergs that, like, the way the Titanic went?
Actually, I can talk about that. Yeah.
actually they tracked the iceberg that Titanic hit, and it came on this iceberg alley that Harry talked about, the strong current that brings those icebergs out and deposits them out in the North Sea. And those are the icebergs that are a hazard to shipping and everything else. They're huge. Remember, 7/8 of them are underwater. So you only see even these enormous things. There's a whole lot more underwater. So those are tracked so shipping doesn't run into them. in the olden days, you had to have a lookout up in the rigging. If you were a sailing ship and you were in this area, somebody had to be on a lookout high up in the rigging all the time. Because, you know, you run into those and you're destroyed. You end up in a lifeboat.
We also used our radar on board to track.
Right.
They picked up a lot of those big icebergs, but the hard part for us wasn't, we were able to see them even at nighttime. We could see them on the radar, but these icebergs slough off other little bergs, and those are the ones that would take something like us down, because we can't pick those up on
They're
radar.
not the size of the Titanic.
Yeah.
Little ones are even.
Yeah.
We steer clear as far away from them as we can.
So that's a good question, because the Titanic was on our minds.
And if the weather is such that you're not going to see these little bergy bits, we just have to stop until we have visibility. So we spent a little time just drifting, sails down, not motoring, just waiting until we had visibility.
Yeah.
Harry, one more question for you. After those icebergs leave Iceberg Alley, what's the fate of those icebergs? Where do they go from there?
Yeah, they drift down into the North Atlantic Ocean, and they eventually melt because the water gets warmer and warmer. Yeah, so and like Mark said, they do get tracked by the North American Ice Service, but they will eventually melt.
Yeah. And Harry, how far south can they make it? How far south would the average iceberg make it?
Big ones could make it all the way into the shipping lanes that go between London and New York.
Wow.
That's right. And could be into the 40-something north latitude, I suppose.
Okay, very cool. Well, I can't believe how fast this has gone. We're almost out of time, but I think maybe before we wrap up, what's next? What are the next coming weeks going to look like for you guys on board the ship, on board the boat?
We have school presentations and harbor visits from Halifax to Boston, Newport, Charleston. So a lot of those scheduled receptions. We have a little ship maintenance to do underneath, so we've got to be someplace where we can find a diver or somebody on board can do an underwater inspection. So that's what's happening. It's busy. It's port time.
Yeah.
We've been away from, quote, civilization, big cities for quite a while. So this will be a change for us. We all have to figure out, you know.
We have to clean up a little bit, maybe have a shower, but yeah, it's going to be a busy time for us, and we've got a lot more live presentations with you, Joe, and we're excited. We hope everybody will chime in with us as we continue our journey.
Our concerns are going to switch from icebergs to hurricanes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I've shared the link to the website, oneislandoneocean.com, in the chat if you want to follow along on the map, if you want to check out the buoy data. Remind us, what number is the buoy today? Was it 168?
That's correct. Yeah. And also you can follow along One Island, One Ocean. All our social media is that as well. And Tess usually does our announcements when we're doing more live classrooms, or also if we write blogs, that kind of stuff there. We usually put that out on our social media.
All
right. Well, I'll pass things back to Sarah at K-12.
Thank you very much, everybody. We really appreciate it. Ocean.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Joe. We had such a great virtual field trip with you all today. We appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us and answer so many great questions today. We really enjoyed learning all about your expedition and wish you the best of luck in your journey. Students, be sure to check out all the cool links that we put in the chat for you to check out later on your own, and be sure to sign up for some upcoming K-12 virtual field trips we have lined up for you, a couple really cool adventures over the next month and a half. So please be sure to visit our K-12 virtual field trip website to sign up. And don't forget, you can watch this session on demand later on the website as well. I hope everyone has a great rest of your day. Thank you so much. Bye.
All right. Thanks, everyone.